Okay, so hello everyone. This is sort of a revision specifically for the SRQ. Okay, and this was done during the intervention. So for some of you who missed out the intervention, you can um, refer to the notes that was given and you can see what are the things that you missed out. Okay, so specifically, when we talk about SRQ, which is the essay component of your social studies paper, we are looking at ensuring that you complete it in 30 minutes. Okay, so I think that is specifically quite important. And there are certain things that which is highlighted, or for example, that is written in red color is for you to sort of copy, okay, and understand it a little bit. About question 6 specifically of both the O level and N level, I would say there isn't much difference. All right. Now, if you look at this particular set of LOMs for the O level, you can see that it is really about ensuring that you are able to identify or describe strategies or certain factors, or it could be even impact questions. Okay, and you can see that the marks actually it's range such that in O level you need to give 2 examples or 2 strategies. Look very carefully. It says here award 5 to 6 marks for explaining one strategy or whatever example, whatever factor that you are going to explain, and 6 to 7 marks for explaining 2 strategies. So be very if you really write very well. Okay, you can even hit as high as 6 out of 7 marks just by explaining one strategy. All right. Again, time is of the essence. You need to spend about 30 minutes for both question 6 and question 7 on top of doing your source-based questions. So be very mindful of time. Whereas for the N level, the whole idea is just to ensure that you have one very good strategy in order for you to get 6 to 7 marks. Okay, so what is it when sometimes you get like, oh, what is award a higher mark for a clearer explanation? That means you're able to use the example properly and make a connection or make that link, or your link, for example, your why aspect, right, is really developed really well. Now, for the 7 marks question, it is about using content from issue 1 to 3. So you need a bit of content. Definitely. It is both for the O level as well as the N level. But if, for example, say you get brain freeze on the day of the national exam, always go back to the extracts, okay, to give you some sort of a trigger. All right. And you can see here that for this, correct, award 5 is for the O level, whereas for the N level, it's 6 to 7 for one factor, 7 to 8 for 2 factors. And for the N level, there isn't a requirement for you to weigh. Okay, for the O level, the 8th mark actually will go to when you explain the relative importance of each factor, meaning you are looking and you are sort of weighing specifically between the 2 factors, which one is better. Okay, so this is something slightly different from the N level paper. The O level needs a sort of a conclusion for question 7. Now, a lot of you are asking, how do you actually write, or how do you even start writing an SRQ or an essay type question in social studies? So just like how you write an essay, in social studies, we have been exposing you to what, how, why. But basically, it is as simple as looking at what you have learned in the English or even mother tongue. Okay, you're looking at point. Okay, how is always looking at examples plus a bit of elaboration on the examples, a bit more description, I would say, a bit more case study examples. All right, and the why is always the link. Okay, always answer to the question. How does this example link back to the question? Okay. All right, now we'll go to page 2, which is, I would say, the more important aspect of this particular video. Now, we are looking and we are unpacking question 6 specifically. Okay, now in either N-level or O-level papers, most of the questions will be looking at providing answers that could either be about reasons, features, strategies, solutions, or impact. Okay, impact is the one that was missing in your notes. Okay, so when we look at reasons, if the question is a reason type of question, we are looking at what could be the economic, political, or social reason. Okay, when we look at features, we are looking at characteristics. Very specific for only certain questions, I would say. Okay, most of the time in both the N level as well as the O level, they would always ask for strategies as well as solutions type of questions. And when we look at strategies or solution type of questions, we are looking at how does the strategy come from an individual perspective, a community perspective, a government perspective. Okay, and lately we have also seen questions in both N level and O level where they look at impact. So the impact can be a positive, can be the benefit of something, versus what is the negative aspects of the question. All right, so these are the 4 possible type of question 6. Again, I repeat, these are the 4 possible type of question 6. So what you need to do in order for you to maximize the time that we have is to actually identify what type of questions are there. Okay, so I repeat, what type of questions are there? So if you look at reason, if you look at features, if you look at strategies or solutions, or even impact. Okay, so let's take a look at the O-level question, which is the 2017 question. So I didn't put in the extracts per se, but I just took out the question. Okay, so in this, it actually says about how Singapore is becoming increasingly diverse. In your opinion, why? Okay, so it seems to be asking a reason, right? Why is Singapore becoming increasingly diverse? So because this is a reason question, we're looking here. Okay, so we're looking for the different types of reason. So it could be economic reason, a social reason, or even a political reason. So this is a reason type SRQ question 6. So this is a typical reason type of question. Okay, so make sure that you actually note this down, pause the video at any time to copy. Now let's take a look at the N level. And this is from the specimen paper. Extracts 1 shows the proportion of Singaporeans living in poverty is increasing. So it is about issue 2 here. Now, in your opinion, why is the proportion of Singaporeans living in poverty increasing? So again, it is a reason type SRQ6 question where it could, or it is asking about, again, the why. So you seem to see a trend, right? It feels that every time you have a why question, it does ask about reasons. Okay, so talks about economic reason. There's no jobs, no income, there's odd jobs. It could also be about the political reason, perhaps, the impact of COVID-19, political and both economic, has affected people. Of course, this is just a brainstorm of sorts. You have to look back at the extracts properly. Social is about qualifications that do not guarantee a stable job, and that is probably why there are an increasing number of poverty cases. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is the 2018. All right, so same thing. Extract 1 shows a portion of why SG government has increased healthcare spending. So again, this is a why question. All right, and a why question again is a reason type SRQ 6 question. So it could be economic reason, treatment and medicine is getting better, hence more expensive. That's one of the reason. It could be political reason that because the government knows that Singapore has a more aging population, like a social reason, right? So it is part of voting incentives to attract more people to vote, you know, or it could really be an aspect of the government that is a genuine concern to take care of the needs of the aging population. Okay, so these are possible reasons why. Again, this is a why question. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Is interesting. The N level one. Okay, it is on 2017 N level. Extract 1 explain the importance of good leaders. In your opinion, what? Can you see this? What personal qualities does someone need in order to become a good leader? So this is a what question, and a what question really goes back into the features or the characteristics question. Okay, so this is a good example of, it's not asking for reasons, it's not asking for strategies, but what they're doing is they're asking for what are the features, what personal qualities, and these are some of the features that was actually mentioned and sort of discussed in class. So the features is a characteristic kind of question. So it could be integrity, loyal, compassionate, responsible leader. It could be someone who's non-corrupted, someone who's genuine. Okay, so these are some of the answers. Now, moving on, let's take a look at the next question, which is a 2019 question, O-level. So it is about this concept or idea of smart nation. Now, in your opinion, how can Singapore benefit from this development as a smart nation? So again, you can see how, even though it's a how question, it's not a what or why question, and it is really specifically to just benefit. So it is quite specific, I would say, that they are asking you to just look at the benefits. So it is basically an impact question, okay, an impact type of SRQ 6 question. And these were some of the examples given during our conversations, and we look at individuals, okay, how the individuals could actually benefit from it. So you had the Active Wallet app, for example, hence it's convenient. The community, the Trace Together app to monitor the spread of COVID-19, safety to the community. Now, what is interesting is this part. It says Singapore, it didn't say Singaporeans. So what is the difference between Singapore, of course, it's a country, versus Singaporeans? That means if it's Singaporeans things, your point of view is basically the citizens. So citizens can be both individuals as well as organized groups, right? Formal and informal. Whereas Singapore, it's talking about the country. How can the country benefit? How can everyone benefit? Whether it is the individuals, the government, as well as the community. So there is a difference here. So you have to be very careful about it. Now, moving on, let's go to the 2022 N-level paper. So now this is again a different one that we've seen. All right, now for this is, in your opinion, what? So they're asking you, what can Singapore citizens ask? So this is a very specific thing. They're not asking for community, they're not asking for government, they're asking for what can a citizen, an individual do. So this is a solution strategy SRQ 6 type of question. Okay, so as an individual, you pick up rubbish. If we're talking about Singapore per se, then you raise awareness, through social media, campaign posters, all those kind of things. Now, government, if let's say the question is, in your opinion, what can Singapore do to help to make it clean and green, then one government solution would be, oh, I would want to increase punishment, make it a bit more punitive, make it more strict. Okay. Right, now moving on, okay, I highlighted this because this was quite recent, and especially, please put a star in the 2020 O-level paper. Now, even if you're an N-level student watching this video, I thought it would be good exposure for you to see this kind of questions. This was, I would say, a surprise type of question, or a surprise, not a surprise type, a surprise question. And reason is because when the students did this, they were quite stumped. Okay, they were asked what important, it's about plastic waste. So what important message would you share with Singaporeans to help reduce the amount of plastic waste generated? Okay, so it is about a personal point of view from an individual. It is actually first and foremost a strategy or a solution type, because it's just asking an important message. So the important message can be a strategy, because why? The key question that they were asking is to help reduce the plastic waste generated. So a lot of students were so obsessed with this important message that they forget to actually look at what was the key question. The key question is, what will you share to help reduce the amount of plastic waste generated? So the message is actually an advice, which is actually a strategy that you want to share. So one of the important things that you need to take note is always look at the question holistically, meaning from the beginning to the end of it, correct? And you look at what is it actually the key concept or the key message of the question. And they are asking you to actually, oh, it is about to help reduce amount of plastic waste. Yes, it could be message, but it is really just specifically really about strategies. So one of it is to bring your own bag, right? One way that Singaporeans can reduce the amount of plastic waste, and it is easy because you just reduce. Why is it that bringing your own bag, you sort of ensure that there'll be no more plastic waste? It's obviously you use less plastic, and less plastic translates into a reduced amount of plastic waste, correct? And when we talk about get involved in VIA or community projects that picks up plastic waste on beaches, it does reduce the amount of plastic waste being thrown or being sort of disposed. Okay, but you still have the amount of plastic waste. So this may not be the best answer. The other answer that was given actually is to recycle plastic. Okay, meaning reuse the containers or even the bags to be more purposeful. Okay. Now, in last year's 2021 N-level paper, it was so interesting. It wasn't as surprising, I would say, but you can see here, there was a reference. This is an impact question, by the way, with reference to one positive or one negative impact. So straight away, they actually zoom into the impact question. But what was interesting is because this is N-level and you only need one answer or one paragraph, they were only looking at one positive or one negative impact. Okay, so possible type of questions is actually quite open, I would say. All right, that means it's not just strategies. Okay, I repeat, it's not just strategies. It can be reason, features, of course, strategies, as well as impact. Now, because strategy seems to be quite common in a lot of the exam papers, one of the way for us to quickly think of strategies is when we look at the circle of influence, even though this is not a circle, all right, but look at it in terms of your individual community as well as government, right? And this is some examples of it. Okay, so you can copy this down, all right? Pause anytime in the video and copy this down. So as an individual, what are the strategies that you can do? Okay, how can an individual, or what can an individual do to make the difference? Okay, so one of it is you yourself, you can make that change. Okay, second is you can increase awareness within the family. So it's very much still small scale because this is an individual strategy, all right? And this in comparison to what a community can do. So in a community, for example, think about your school as a community. What can be achieved during the CCE lesson, CCA, VIA? So these are strategies that comes from your own experience in a school setting. Another example of a community would be the NGO, the community centers, the residential corners, maybe I don't know the the movement, the NGOs, organized group, formal informal groups. These are community based. So in a given conflict or in a given question or problem, what can the community do? Okay, and finally, what can the government do? So usually the government can raise awareness, all right, through social media, to the different platforms, even have discussion in parliament to raise awareness, or as a government, they are the only groups of people that can, okay, make it punitive, meaning it becomes a punishment. So that's about laws and fines and etc. etc. You know, increase the fine, make it more strict, making sure that, for example, people don't smoke or people don't throw litter. Okay, those are the things when we talk about strategies. Okay, so again, this goes back to the 2020 O-level paper, which I thought that it'd be very good for most of you to try it, and you can submit it later on so that, you know, you have a sense in, when I'm writing, is it okay? All right, so I hope this little session and this little reminder of SRQ will help. So again, let me repeat for you when you're doing your SRQs for both questions 6 and 7, limit to 30 minutes. Okay, so it could be 15 minutes, 15 minutes. And remember how you write it. And remember the type of question 6 or possible types of question 6. Okay, so I hope this video has been meaningful and it will help you in your national exams. Bye-bye.